Welcome to another episode of Books and Bytes.
Hello.
Today we're plunging into Osamu Dazai's really quite chilling and intensely personal novel, No Longer Human. This isn't just a story, it's a raw, unflinching exploration of alienation, profound self-loathing, and the heartbreaking struggle to find any genuine connection with other people.
Indeed, and Dazai structures the narrative in a fascinating way, using these discovered notebooks from our protagonist Yozo Oba.
3 notebooks, right?
3 notebooks in total, yeah. And they're framed by a prologue and an epilogue told by an unnamed narrator.
That structure, it immediately creates a sense of distance, doesn't it? Like we're piecing together a fragmented life after the fact.
Exactly. It's almost forensic. And the prologue starts with these photographs.
Ah, yes, the photos.
Yeah.
The narrator describes 3 of them, and they're quite unsettling. A smiling child, but with something off about it.
A hint of something disturbing.
Then a young man, handsome, but with this, empty look behind the smile.
A facade already.
And finally, just this hollowed-out figure, almost devoid of expression, apparently taken in an institution. They really set a foreboding tone, foreshadowing Yozo's whole tragic trajectory.
And it connects directly to that original Japanese title, Ningen Shikaku.
Which translates to disqualified from being human.
Precisely. And that phrase just perfectly encapsulates Yozo's core belief about himself right from the beginning. He doesn't just feel different, he genuinely believes he's fundamentally lacking whatever it is that makes someone human.
Which leads us straight into the central theme, maybe the central tragedy of his life, this constant, exhausting performance of normalcy.
Yeah, because he's utterly convinced of this inherent difference, this flaw. He spends his entire life putting on these elaborate acts to hide it.
The first notebook really takes us back to the roots of this. His childhood, rural northern Japan, a wealthy family, but you get the sense it was pretty emotionally distant.
Definitely. And he observes this duplicity even among the servants, people saying one thing, doing another. It just adds to his confusion about how humans operate.
It's where we get that incredibly poignant line, "I have never known what it means to be at ease."
Oof, yeah, that just hits you. His profound discomfort with everything social. Human behavior, social cues, it's all a complete mystery to him.
So instead of showing that bewilderment, he finds a way to hide it. He becomes the class clown.
It's a classic shield, isn't it? Make them laugh and they won't look too close.
Exactly. And outwardly it works. He's popular, seems harmless, but inside,
he feels like a complete imposter. The performance just reinforces his own sense of being separate, of never actually connecting.
The notebook also hints at something darker from his childhood sexual abuse by a female servant. It's not explicit, but the impact feels clear.
It definitely deepens his vulnerability, plants that seed of distrust, especially around intimacy, that kind of violation early on.
Yeah.
It would absolutely contribute to later difficulties in forming genuine bonds.
You see that lack of innate understanding manifest in other ways, too, like the incident where he mocks a guest's disability without realizing it's cruel.
Right, he's just mimicking something he thinks is funny, totally missing the social and moral context. It reinforces his feeling of being fundamentally different, lacking that internal compass.
And his father looms large, too, doesn't he? This distant, intimidating figure?
Yeah, a figure of inaccessible authority. Yozo struggles even to understand how people have, eloquent conversations, especially with someone like his father. It highlights his basic struggle with interaction itself.
So the takeaway from that first notebook is really the formation of this hollow social self. He's already convinced he's inhuman.
It's a bleak starting point. And moving into the second notebook, we see him transition. He leaves home, goes to Tokyo, enters the bohemian art scene.
And sheds the old clown act for a new persona, this sort of charming, dissolute artist. Another performance just adapted for a new audience.
And Tokyo is where he discovers alcohol. Initially, it's just to ease that social anxiety, that constant fear.
But it doesn't stay that way.
No. It quickly becomes essential, the only way he feels he can even temporarily play the part of a normal person interacting with others.
Then there's art school. He's clearly talented, technically brilliant even, produces work quickly.
But that imposter feeling is still there, right? He lacks any real passion for it. It's just another skill he's acquired, another part of the performance, not genuine expression.
It's around this time he starts his first significant relationships with women, and these also start as performances.
He's studying them, mimicking what he thinks they want, but then almost unexpectedly, real feelings start to creep in, which seems to surprise even him.
The relationship with Tsuneko, the bar hostess, feels pivotal here. She seems genuinely devoted to him.
Uncomplicated devotion, real tenderness, but Yozo, he just can't reciprocate. He accepts this affection he feels he doesn't deserve and can't return, leading to this buildup of guilt.
Which culminates in that absolutely devastating double suicide attempt.
Tsuneko suggests it, maybe sensing his unavailability, and Yozo agrees almost passively, just a lack of will to refuse.
And, tragically, he survives, but she doesn't. His survival, combined with his apparent emotional numbness about her death, just highlights his detachment.
The consequences are immediate and severe. His father cuts him off financially, he's kicked out of art school, he's completely adrift.
And descends into Tokyo's underworld, essentially.
Yeah, adrift and alone. He shifts from any pretense of serious art to commercial illustration hack work, basically. He sees it as artistic prostitution, but it's a way to survive with minimal real interaction.
And the substance use really ramps up now. Alcohol isn't enough anymore.
No. He turns to narcotics, morphine usually, to escape what he calls the terror of social interaction. It's self-medication on a destructive scale.
It's during this spiral that he develops that really bleak view of humanity.
Yeah.
I am now convinced that human beings are by nature evil creatures.
That cynicism becomes a sort of justification, doesn't it? A way to rationalize his own withdrawal and perceived failures by painting everyone else as monstrous, too.
So the third notebook. Things really fall apart here. The drugs, the alcohol, it's habitual now, and he can barely maintain any facade.
He's physically deteriorating, the mask is literally crumbling, and it's in this state that he meets Yoshiko.
Ah, Yoshiko. Such a contrast. Incredibly innocent, almost naively good.
Her acceptance is unconditional. She seems genuinely unable to see the darkness Yozo believes defines him. Just offers this simple, childlike compassion.
He calls her the gentlest person I have ever known. Her genuine humanity seems to both attract and terrify him. It's everything he thinks he isn't.
For a moment, their life together provides a kind of stability, a brief, fragile peace.
Until it's shattered by that horrific event, Yoshiko is raped by an acquaintance while Yozo is passed out.
Even though Yoshiko forgives, Yozo is utterly destroyed by it. For him, it's the ultimate proof of his own inadequacy, his failure to protect the one person who accepted him.
He says he basically lost the strength to even pretend anymore.
Yeah. After that trauma, he completely surrenders to his addictions, abandons all pretense, which leads inevitably to an intervention by friends, and he's committed to a mental institution.
The institution, though, it sounds more like detoxification than therapy.
Pretty much. It addresses the physical dependency, but not the deep psychological wounds. After release, he's hooked on sedatives and ends up in the care of this controlling bar madam, essentially her prisoner.
Existing in this zombified state, heavily medicated.
But there are moments of lucidity, and in one of those, he has this crucial realization. It was always the fear. The fear of other humans was the root of his entire collapse.
The substances were just a symptom, an escape route.
Exactly. And the notebook ends with that incredibly bleak, haunting thought. I have no sensation of being alive. All I feel is the rottenness of the world penetrating my skin. Just devastating.
Then the epilogue brings us back to the narrator, who fills in the few known details of Yozo's life after the notebooks.
Right. He was eventually sent back to his family's home in the country, lived out his days in obscurity, still dependent, still isolated.
It's such an ambiguous ending. Not recovery, not even really death, but this kind of living death. Isolation and sedation.
And there's that final chilling detail the narrator mentions, seeing the last photograph of Yozo from the institution, and noticing another figure in the background with an even more disturbing face.
It suggests Yozo's profound alienation, while extreme, might not be entirely unique. Maybe it taps into something wider.
So we see Yozo's life as this tragic unfolding, driven by his perceived inability to connect, leading to the performance, the self-destruction. It's a powerful look at alienation.
Absolutely. Let's touch briefly on some key themes that run through it. The performance of humanity is obviously huge, with that recurring motif of the clown.
And fear as this existential condition. You can almost read it alongside some existentialist thinkers, that deep dread at the core of his being.
Substance abuse is clearly presented as self-medication, isn't it? An attempt, however doomed, to escape that terror.
Definitely. And related to that is the impossibility of love, or at least genuine connection in his life. Every attempt seems marked by failure or misunderstanding.
There's also that tension around art. Art as potentially authentic expression versus just, well, commercial prostitution, reflecting his own disillusionment.
Yeah, his talent becomes just another tool, ultimately devalued in his own eyes.
It's such a paradox, isn't it? a protagonist who believes himself inhuman. Yet his confession, his self-awareness, his obvious longing for connection, these feel profoundly human.
That's the power of it, I think. Maybe his extreme alienation is just an intensified version of something many people experience in modern life, that feeling of being disconnected.
Despite his isolation, the act of writing these notebooks, of confessing, creates a kind of connection with us, the readers.
It really does. It makes you think, doesn't it? About the masks we all wear in social interactions. How do they relate to Yozo's extreme performance?
And what's the potential cost of hiding our true selves so completely? A really provocative thought to leave you with.
Definitely food for thought.
It's an unforgettable book. If you haven't read it, we highly recommend you grab a copy of No Longer Human. You can find a link in the description.
And please subscribe to Books and Bytes for more deep dives into compelling literature.